What's up, guys? This is Brandon Diswinkowski, and I am joined with Christina Torres doing a catch up. So much has happened since the last time that we were able to speak to you. So, how are you?
I'm doing so well. I mean, so much has happened since the last time that you and I connected, and it's super exciting. And obviously, like, it could be overwhelming because there's a lot of different like avenues. And, once you become an entrepreneur, especially since I'm taking advantage of social media, I'm realizing there's a lot of opportunities. So whenever I find like an opportunity, I'm just like, okay, let me kind of plant a seed here so all the seeds could kind of grow together when everything is kind of like in place. But otherwise, I'm doing really well.
That's amazing. So, I just want to comment on, and again, we kind of spoke like off camera, but like the amount of growth that your channel has had, your TikToks, your podcast, your website has even grown, your connections have grown. Can you kind of just like run me through some of that stuff, like from ABA clinician to influencer almost?
Yeah, so when I decided to start my social media journey, right? I knew I wanted to model the behavior because there was nobody modeling the behavior for me to go this route, like the consulting specifically route. So I'm like, you know what? I know that I want to go this route. So let me share my story because I'm sure other people could relate to it. And I knew that I would definitely have appreciated if I had a visual cue, right?
Yeah.
So I started TikTok and then I transitioned to Instagram. And Instagram, I'm gaining like 500 followers a month since September. So I'm growing very fast on there. And to me, that just kind of like reinforces my behavior that a lot of people are interested in what I'm doing. And a lot of people are reaching out like, what are you doing? I want to go this route. I want to get out of clinical. So that's where I actually started my baseline business behavior mentorship. I'm like, okay, I have way too many people that want to go this route. And at this point, I was already a year into my business. And it's like, okay, this is not something overnight. So I set up this baseline business behavior mentorship and I got 19 BCBAs to actually sign up within 10 days.
Wow.
And there was actually BCBAs that were actually business owners that signed up. And I explained everything I went through this past year, some considerations, timelines, basically set up a whole TA for them to know like my whole approach is like, let's be proactive and get the knowledge you need prior so that, maybe you're not ready to start that business now, but at least you have the knowledge to know, oh, when this SD occurs, like, oh yeah, let me check this off the box. Because like I said, it took me a year to get to officially launching my business because
Mhm.
there was so much to learn. And it's like, let me make a shortcut for you guys. Okay. Learn from my mistakes. Don't do this, do that. And like, especially after I made those mistakes, I've learned how to fix those things. So it's like, learn from me, let me guide you and give you the baseline knowledge you need so that you're not failing in those areas that I did fail. So
Right.
that's kind of like the influencing part. So like I said, between like leveraging the two different platforms, I'm getting so much growth, but I know that I'm really reaching out to those that were the same versions of me last year when I knew I was like, oh my gosh, I'm burnt out. I need to start my own business. And it's like,
Right.
oh my, she's doing that. I want to do that. And she's sharing what she's doing. Yay.
Right. And I feel like with social media, there's obviously the positive and the negative reinforcement. So the fact that you're taking ABA and using it in any other frame aside from just behavioral and applying it to the internet, applying it to TikTok, applying it to Instagram, you're actually getting that like instant reinforcement from seeing those likes, from seeing those comments, from seeing those follows come through. But then it could also be like the flip side of the coin is on those tougher days or tougher months, you're like, oh, I usually hit 500, I only have 200. But
Hmm.
it's almost still the fact that like you're taking this frame and you're expanding and you're shaping other people's behavior by saying it's not just a business model that you could do. You could do this for anything, but if you follow my couple steps, follow my mistakes, follow my success, this is what you can have for yourself. So let me line you up.
Hmm. And that's another thing too. It's like I like the amount of followers to me, I don't signal that as reinforcement, right?
Okay.
It's just kind of like, oh, wow, I'm actually growing. And it's like when you look back at the data, you're like, holy crap, it's 500. And I don't really pay attention to it because my whole focus is just putting information out there and like answering questions for those that are asking, right?
Yeah.
But also too, like what's reinforcing to me is actually when people get in my DMs and they're actually leaving comments of like, oh my gosh, this is so informational. Thank you. Or like, all those BCBAs that I know that I'm helping, or even the grad students, that is like my target audience, because it's like, guys,
They're
figure
the
out your
future.
niche. Yes, figure out your niche, but also too, it's like I want to be that mentor that I didn't have my baseline year. So it's
Yes.
like kind of helping support everybody, but obviously the more the people that view your stuff, the more people are open to that could potentially be those people that you can help support. So
Yeah.
definitely understanding, the algorithm, I guess, but also
Yeah.
just being consistent with your community. That's the
Yeah.
key.
When we first spoke the first time, you were just building your business. You had just finished your office. You had just kind of like really set the wheels in motion to
Mhm.
now. I don't even know how many months it's been, but you've grown so significantly. You're more confident in the way that you present your business ideas. You have more ventures,
Mhm.
and you're still a fantastic mother. So like you're doing all of these things while all maintaining the work-life balance that like is so sought after for all clinicians everywhere.
Mhm.
So I guess my question is like, how? How do you do it all? And more importantly, why?
Listen, I'm still trying to juggle my time, because as an influencer, right, you have to create content. And that is very time consuming. Like I know, and especially since I've kind of like taken on a couple projects. And so it's kind of like, delegating time to actually complete those tasks.
Mm.
And sometimes, like I said, I'm still new to business. So it's like, as I'm getting exposed to all these different avenues, it's a brand new contingency for me. So it's like, okay, I don't know how long this is going to take, how much the response effort is required. You know what I mean? So it's all a learning and a shaping process. So I'm realizing too, like, okay, I maybe had taken off, been too much. So that's like, okay, I'm so glad that one of my projects is finally going to be done, because now I can
Right.
actually breathe again, because it did take up so much time. But balancing and leveraging like that flexibility, it's like, okay, I know that I'm a mom first. So obviously, um, being there for my daughter, but also she's going to be two. So I take advantage of the times that she naps, but also I do a lot of my work at nighttime when she's sleeping.
Yeah.
And then if I have coverage, if like, if I do have childcare, because my daughter's not in daycare. So those days, then I can actually come to the office and create content or work on projects. So it's kind of like trying to balance the two and understand that you have to have a flexible schedule. And when you are an entrepreneur, sometimes you have to stay home and be with your child, and you can't actually dedicate the as much time as you wanted to towards your business. So I'm still kind of managing and leveraging the time part, because I know that there's so many stuff that comes into entrepreneurship, and it's like there's not enough time. So it's
Yeah.
like I said, it's just creating a task list of every type of project I have going on, so I could be mindful when another project like that does occur. So I could be like, okay, I gotta take off 3 weeks for this to focus on that, and like schedule things meticulously.
Yeah. And it's almost like through all of those things, you operate on a VR schedule because you don't know when one of those things is going to pay off more than the other. So like while it's almost like concurrent and also variable because you're running all of these things at once, but you're contacting from like what you see is kind of like bouncing higher than the other type of thing.
Yes. It's like what they say in science. Like if you're experimenting with one thing and then something else opens up, it's like go down that avenue. It's like,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. It's like, okay, my focus was this, and it's like, oh my gosh, okay, well, this opportunity came up. So kind of like let me get exposed to it, and like, all right, now that I have exposure, now I know when to actually plant that seed for something that I went this route for. You see what I
Right.
mean? Kind of setting up that proactive approach, but also knowing like, okay, this is not going to be reinforcing now, but it will be later. So let me put
Yes.
it like the schedule of reinforcement is always like this, depending
Yeah.
on which whatever thing you're working on at that moment.
Right. What would you say is like I guess like your perfect guide to what you do? Like if you were to take a brand new mentee, a grad school, like perfect ideal, like, hey, they don't really know where they're going. They don't know what they exactly want, but they know they want a business model, they want a market, and maybe just sprinkling some ABA in there. Like what's the exact maybe not the exact, but like what's like a pretty close format that you would advise them on?
Um, Definitely, first and foremost, you have to have a good mindset because you have to always reinforce yourself and understand like everything is a shaping process and there's going to be bumps in the road and you have to acknowledge that and not let that stop you, right? Take it as
Yeah.
a learning opportunity to grow because there's going to be a lot of bumps in the field. But since I've experienced some, I definitely would think, definitely figuring out exactly one avenue first before you kind of expand to different avenues. So
Hmm.
it's kind of like laying the foundation. It's like, okay, what type of business do you want to start? Do you want to go the
Yeah.
consulting route? Okay, so if you want to go this route, what is going to be your if you're going to have a niche or whatever. But also too, it's like I've actually kind of especially with when it comes to like my community, because like I said, I'm leveraging social media, but now balancing my in-person community. But I'm
Right.
actually creating, I found out a lot of different ways that BCBAs could make revenue by offering their services in a specific way that doesn't lead to that clinical route, right? So it's like, okay, first of all, networking 100% is going to be the number one thing that you should focus on.
Yep.
After you establish your logo, your colors, if they want to do the social media route, definitely first things first is getting your name and your services out there to the people that will be that you would need to know that your services are available. So I think that is going to be definitely the first step of knowing like, hey, I actually have to network my services so people are aware of what I'm offering. So that
Right.
is probably the baseline. It's like, okay, well, how are you going to make money? Well, you need to make money by selling yourself to people that you're going to be solving the problems for.
Right.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of it too is like for you, you have this portfolio that if someone was to kind of take lead from you, they would be like, all right, well, what can you offer me? All they really have to do is Google your name, and they would see that you kind of come with a podcast, you have a TikTok, you have an Instagram, you have a website, you have this portfolio that opens up, and they're like, all right, I could definitely take lead from her. Like she obviously knows what she's doing. Um,
Yeah. No, you know what it is too? It's like people need to be aware of we're in 2024.
yeah,
We have to take advantage of technology, but also understand where technology is going, right? And as soon as you master something, it's kind of like, okay, get it on autopilot. Like I I always, whenever I'm meeting with someone, I always mention like, have you heard of SaaS? Yeah. Have you heard of MRR? Yeah. Like these are all terms that people are not familiar with. And it's like, okay, service as a software, like this is the future.
yeah,
So there's a lot of different things because I've been so deep of learning the internet and like the digital marketing world that I'm trying to bring ABA into that realm, right? So it's
right,
like, listen, guys, like as another stream of passive income, you might want to consider creating a digital product where people can actually download your ebook. And now not only do you get exposure, but now you're making passive income as your sleep to help set up your business because when you do start this entrepreneurial route, you don't have any income coming in because you're building your foundation. So how can we
right,
have little low effort opportunities for you to create something, set up a stand store in the meantime while you're getting your business set up so that you can actually create that passive stream of income. So that's what I'm trying to do. And that's why I have so
yeah,
many different realms. And also my goal with what I want to do, especially specifically for my platform, is with specifically with the podcast, right? My
right,
podcast is called the Behavioral Network. I started on Instagram, especially like showcasing other BCBAs going independent, but I'm gonna create a whole separate entity because ideally what I want to do is actually create that whole behavioral network of everyone that works together, speech, SLPs, OTs,
mhm,
medical billers, but also bringing business into that network too, because there's a lot of BCBAs that want to go independent, but they
yeah,
don't understand the business route because we all have the clinical exposure. So let me bring that business aspect in here by giving you guys access to the business network as well as the behavioral network, because starting a business is behavior. You have to engage in
yeah,
behaviors to launch your own business. So we are all a part of that behavioral network. So that's why I'm trying to take advantage of where social media is going and the potential, because like I said, I want to be able to create passive income for anyone that I collaborate with. So obviously I understand that my community involves like grad students and maybe some parents
yeah,
that cannot afford my rates because I am private pay. I am not working with insurance. So I don't, you know what I mean? So obviously, when it comes to pricing yourself too, you have to do market research. I know when it starts a business, it's very hard to kind of, especially in the human service field, you just want to help, help, help. But it's like,
Yeah.
hold on, pump your brakes. You are a business owner and your time and your education and what you're bringing to the table is what you're selling. And in the beginning, I had a very hard time with, because I just want to share everything for free. But it's like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
Chris, like you're not making any money. So anyways, to make a long story short, it's like, okay, I want to offer packages that I have like a 1 hour package and then I have a 30-minute one, but also it's like, okay, well, not everyone could afford $150 an hour for a session that comes with value, right?
Mhm.
So it's like, well, let's make it quick and convenient. So $20 of a quick voice memo, and you can get a lot of information in 30 seconds. I mean, I talk very fast, and it's like, let me send me a message on Instagram, go book 20-minute $20 voice memo consults, and they have up to 15 minutes. So I can answer your question in 3 minutes, or I can answer your question up within 15 minutes. But the whole
Yeah.
point is like it's flexible, it's affordable, and you have instant access to the knowledge just to kind of answer the question that you're kind of stuck on. So I was
Yeah.
like, quick 20 minutes, you know?
And it follows the move of the digital curve. So it's not
Yeah.
like so stuck in the past of like, hey, I have to schedule this out 2 weeks because I don't have booking. It's like
Mhm.
it's such a smart, I don't want to say like strictly millennial idea, but it's definitely like more with the times. It's more updated and it's a universal tool that I feel like more people use now. Like Instagram is probably my best guess is almost everybody has one.
Mhm.
So it's just such a smart idea. As soon as
And
I saw that, I was like, I have to ask her about it because it's genius. Genius.
yeah, and also too, it's permanent product. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, you're about to go to work right now. That's fine. So there's no rush too. There's not like, oh, I'm
Yep.
missing out. Like, no, 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 we still have time. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I actually got a lot of feedback on it. And one of the SLPs reached out to me. She's like, oh my gosh, that was so genius. I'm using that. I'm like, please, like guys, do the voice
Yeah.
memo. So offer as a service, because it's needed. And sometimes you don't have to sit for 30 minutes. It's a quick question. It's like, okay, well, $20. You just made $20 and solve somebody else's problem.
Could you give me a rundown of all of your services and also how someone would be able to contact you and what they would contact you for? That way we could just like we could blast all your stuff at the same time, make sure that you're getting everything out. So
Yeah.
floor is yours.
So I'm on TikTok. I've been going live on TikTok when I'm at the office, and that all my handles are all the same. ABA at ABA dot made and then E with a Z. And so I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. You could do voice memo consults on my Instagram. I offer single consult sessions. So it's like, okay, we talk about it, whatever like problem you're having or whatever. We have a consult. We can record it. You get a little template, and then whenever you need more support, we come back and forth. I also offer a baseline business behavior mentorship. It's actually starting this coming weekend. It's 4 weeks long, and we go over basically your baseline knowledge of business, but also now that I'm actually in my first quarter of actually being a whole business in order, I'll be sharing what's going on within me and my business this first quarter too, within those people that are in my mentorship.
Beautiful.
And then I'm gonna be having my podcast, the Behavioral Network, on Instagram, and then eventually we'll be able to upload it to like YouTube and stuff. But like I said, at this moment it's just me, and I'm like getting volunteers to help support me in different avenues because I'm just a one-man show right now. But ideally, obviously, I'd love to extend my network to showcase everyone else's expertise, but also
Mhm.
to get this ball rolling because there's so much that our field needs, and it's like, hey, let's shift the fields um, in fun ways that it's outside
Yeah.
that clinical realm.
Yeah.
And
And
also
it
please go on my website, abamadeeasy.com, and download my digital products.
beautiful. Beautiful. And it's funny because like ABA was always supposed to be a science that extrapolates from like its core value to expand everywhere else. And I feel like
Mhm.
you're doing exactly that. You're extrapolating from its core and you're blasting it across social media. You're showing people how to be a business owner. You're showing people you're still following like ethical guidelines as a BCBA. You're still a mother, you're still taking care of everything that you have to and doing it all with a smile. So, um, I just want to say thank you again for, the catch up, for taking the time to meet with me and, just tell about all your updated services. I'm sure this definitely won't be the last time, but, you know, I I look forward to seeing you grow more and more, and obviously vice versa. So,
Yeah, thank you so much. Seriously, like you guys are definitely been, especially you have been such a huge support and believe in me in the beginning. So I really appreciate all the support and like this opportunity to speak with you and update.
of course. So, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later.